Sovereign of Subways Round 2, featuring our top table players here, Sanjay and Robbie, DrApathy and Sanjay. How are you
Nice to
doing?
meet you.
I'm doing great. How are you? This is Sanjay. Uh,
Yeah, doing really well.
Yep.
at the start of this, starting at this round, I think we're both feeling great because we're good with after one round with both our decks. Um,
It's amazing. I
and
won the only game I won with my runner all day. I won in the previous round, which is how I somehow wound up at table number one. So
yeah,
that happens.
I was a little apprehensive about this matchup. I think Justminder has. So I'm on Stealth Justminder. Rebby is on Acme. I don't know what kind of Acme, though. Some slots on universal connectivity fee, and you play some beautiful, wonderful barriers. And and one of the things about Justminder is that she has a lot of answers to all the like hokey tricks that but she doesn't like efficient barriers. So this matchup intimidated me a bit. That said, I love playing Acme, so I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great because I know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna take this Acme apart." That was what was going in my head.
This is one of those matchups where IP block is a better card than Data Raven, unless you can stack them.
Definitely,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the only deck where
Um,
Pachinko makes any sort of meta showing, which is nice.
I wasn't brave enough to play Pachinko. I should have.
you don't want Pachinko. I mean, especially unless you're going like fully operational Acme. Like you already have 6 amazing barriers. Like, why do you need
Yeah.
a less amazing barrier?
Hmm.
Though
One
this
thing
plus
I
one.
actually thought One thing I actually thought was really interesting is you were talking about universal connectivity fee earlier, and obviously you cram as many of those as you can into an Acme deck. But I found it wasn't that good on the day because so many people are on Angolo, or
Sure.
that it just winds up turning off your data wards. So
Yeah.
there were a lot of times I just wound up pitching it.
Yeah, ice placement can be kind of tricky. So I don't know what I'm doing here. I put
You
down
double
stuff. I'm
gambled.
very proud of myself. Ooh, good for me. Um, I
Yes.
think what I should be doing in this matchup is. Oh, so I think I slammed down a. What's this?
I'm trying to tell what those are.
I'm
It's
really.
hard through the glare.
Yeah, that looks like a hostage.
Blair. Um.
So that's a hostage, and I don't know what
Wait,
you
so
found with it though.
oh, assuredly, DJ Fenris.
Gotcha, that's an alt I haven't seen.
Yeah. So there's a very nice alt art by Ali Tianink. Cool stuff. But anyway, this is a very standard Justminder thing. Just you play some hostages, you get DJ Fenris really early, and then you just get to draw 2 cards every turn. Looks like I have my Netmarker down,
Yeah,
but not anything to put stealth credits on it.
not yet.
Netmarker is very nice for this matchup, just in terms of. So one thing I talk about with Acme when I play it is that you don't want to overestimate the importance of universal connectivity fee because, like, at the end of like, not every ice is universal connectivity fee, and if you keep on like playing around it, you can really get in trouble. Because you're giving them so much credence. That said, Netmarker means you don't not as vulnerable to it if you can get a bunch of like credits on there. You're not going to lose them.
Yeah,
So I'm like
right here.
Speaking of which, I'm going to get wrecked by this because I was like, that's an IP block. I'm not getting fooled. I have my so I put down my Gauss. I'm like, that's an IP block. I'm gonna go break it. I'm gonna get your thing, but it's not. It's a universal connectivity fee. I lose all my money, and then maybe something bad happens to me. And I had a lot of money.
Yeah, I think I wasn't finding the ice that I wanted. the DJ Fenris come out, and I wanted to put like a slot machine or something on archives so that you can run. It's just not going to be great for you. And even there, like my favorite ice for that scoring server is you want to put a data ward on the inside, and eventually you can stack up data ravens outside of it, so that it doesn't ever turn off against anyone but Jasminder. But I just wasn't getting the ice, and I'm like, let me just jam and go. You're going to give me 5 credits for that Explodapalooza, and I think that's good enough for tempo.
I think that was a great play on your part. Plus, I mean, I think that play set me back for the rest of the game. And in terms of like how this game went, I think I probably should have just let you have that because I didn't need to go for it. And like the worst thing that could have happened is what you score remastered edition or something. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think the thing is I had that Gauss in hand and I had a read on you. I was like, that's an IP block. I just know. And it was not an IP block. So I think I overestimated my own
ice, right? Like
Remember what you scored there?
That's a 15 minutes. He's going to bait out a run there, hopefully trying to hard hitting you, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, I think I put the misdirection down, right?
Yes, you did.
I must have, because these tags are gone. And
I'm not.
Yeah, and me not having a lot of money is
at this point it's looking like a rough match for me. Hoping because this deck also runs.
We are getting some cutouts here. I am only getting like a fraction of what you guys are saying.
Oh yeah.
I'm running a lot of tempo in this deck. Like you got to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things that also is a benefit of jamming that Explodapalooza early is it just left me flabbergasted about guessing what your agenda suite could be the entire game. Even after the game was over, I still had no idea like what your deck was. I really like your agenda suite in this. It's so cool.
Yeah, also, it's a ton of 3-pointers. It's just your 3 SSLs, 3 degree mills.
Yeah, and then also a 15 minutes and an Explodapalooza. I think there was specific prize support at this tournament for the best NBN deck that didn't have Project Beal, which you won, but also you had the best NBN deck because you never lost a game.
Oh, is that true?
Not to spoil the results of this game.
Yeah. Best with or without Project Beal.
Oh, wow.
I
think
great. This is one of those decks where you're not really trying to score. Kill the runner.
Yeah, and you're on... so I'm... Ooh, cold reading... Nice. And that's a data raven. That's great. That's just what you want with cold read. Just stuff, install a program, leave. But with Justminder, of course, is less bothered by data ravens than most runners, but certainly with DJ Fenris and Liza, those tagging cards can be very harmful for her. Especially you put them on the centrals where she doesn't want to see them.
Yeah, because you're going to be stuck with the tag now, even though you get those 2 cards. Then you have to manually ditch it, which you just don't want to spend a click doing.
Exactly. And I think in this game, one of the things that is really the is maybe having some connection issues.
Sorry, I'm cutting out a little bit, I think.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, because it's just a little weird on my end.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Liza, the trick is, with Jasminder, the trick is 2 tags. Like 1 tag is not good enough. 2 tags is just fine.
Yeah. And one of the things with this game, the way it played out, is that you did a brilliant job of shutting. I had that early economic stumble with the UCF. And you did a really good job of shutting down my run-based economy because I'm playing this deck because I want to run a lot, and I make, and I'm hoping to like make tempo with my runs rather than lose it. Make these like little runs on archives, little runs on HQ, giant runs on HQ with hot pursuit, and you've just made it such that like I'm not really gaining any value from running through a slot machine.
Yeah, slot machine is pretty good econ ice, right? In a deck that really wants to run, you put that on archives, and that's the only server you can really run at low cost, and it winds up making me money a fair amount of the time. Like, I kind of like it.
Yeah, and I think one of the best answers to slot machine. I mean, I think one of the tough things in this game is that you pressured me in so many ways I couldn't like get a cloak out to like get some incidental stealth credits, and so I'm just
I think you had a cold read early on, and then net Mercur, and you just kept recycling that stealth credit, and I was like, how do I get that off?
I'm really on a wing on a prayer here, just living off that one stealth credit I have on that cold read. I'm a big believer in non-smoke stealth shaper. I think it's the way of the future, but this is not a good showing for what non-stealth look like. P block. I brilliantly predicted that it was somewhere. It looks like I'm hot pursuiting in here. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, you're coming in with the hot pursuit. Unfortunately, your Gauss has already been sitting on the table, so it doesn't have its really nice boost. You've got to spend the money to boost it.
Obviously, against any other ID, IP block is friggin' joke ice for Justminder Serene, but not Acme. What a brilliant ID! I love Acme.
It costs you real money to get through it.
Yeah, I know. I hate it.
Also gives you these
real money.
It gives you these interesting decisions.
Yeah.
It gives you these interesting decisions where you don't want to double ice a server because it's going to make your ice worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think especially versus look at me, I needed that desperately. Versus Justminder, it is really hard to, and it has to be really well thought out, and sometimes that's not even an option because you're not drawing ice in the right order, and you need to put your ice down, and I think in this game about where you're putting your ice, and I think and it really helped. It really paid off. Again, not to suggest any specific outcome in this game. I'm actually clawing back here, so I hope the audience is at the edge of their seats.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
what's going to happen.
5-4 in your favor, and you've got a lot of little things that can be shuffled back into your deck if you happen to bump into a Degree Mill. So, like,
yeah, Degree Mill's off. Multi-access down. I don't really have a lot of like sustaining economy, and here I think we're seeing how, like I said, terrifying barriers is what's really gonna be my undoing. Mm-hmm. I have Data Sucker to help,
but you're not running any rejig or anything to bounce the Gauss back.
Yeah. Mostly, my number one way of breaking barriers is to Palangi them into some ice type I am good at breaking.
Mm-hmm.
But things just aren't together in a way that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's partially because Robbie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying Palangi isn't sustainable in a deck like this, right? It's not one of those freedom decks that just infinitely recycles virus tokens on it. I mean, you can like clone chip them back out and get them in, but if I can drag you through my servers enough and force you to use it enough, then it's not going to get you through the rest of the game. I mean, that being said, like it's, when you're running all 3-pointers, you only have to do it so many times.
That's absolutely correct.
Keeps you from winning on Sanjay.
Yeah, it's an interesting. In this matchup, Justminder versus Acme, or my Justminder versus Acme, because those Palangis are so good, but they are, like you said, limited limited use. I'm on Switchblade. I don't think I ever actually get it down, but Switchblade is so nice against Data Ward if it happens to be a barrier, be a sentry, because award for Just Minder avoids the tag, and then a data sucker token and 2 stealth credits is wonderful. Though I'm nowhere close to having that, and that's because you've been putting pressure on me. You just baited me through.
I would say this is a deck where Palangi feels fair.
Oh yeah. Palangi's my deck is super fair. This is the fairest deck. Besides the fact that it's stealth, which is always a little bit unfair. Ice is supposed to tax people, and Netmarker is rubbish.
I mean, stealth is fair when you have no recurring stealth credits, right? Like, then it's just like anything else.
Not true. Yeah, true. Though I do have recurring stealth credits in this deck. I just... Wherever are they?
Yeah, so we actually just missed a interesting play. Robbie, you actually install advanced a Rashida.
Oh yeah. So this was nothing. This was just I got all the way to the end of the server, and Robbie is like, "Oh, I'll pop my NGO." It's like, "Oh, it's a Rashida," and he had the NGO in hand. He just put the wrong card down, so that was no big deal whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like,
luckily, Sanjay is probably the nicest person I've ever met, and he let it go. But
no. It would be ludicrous if you.
This is my first time playing on stream. This is my first time at top tables anywhere, so like nerves are a real thing.
Yeah. But let me put on my judge hat for a second. So this is a casual level event, and at a casual level event, you certainly assume good faith, and you also rewind as much as you can, and you only give out DQs. If things cannot be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, you do sometimes have to give out DQs, but you don't give out DQs when it very likely, nothing was, no bad thing happened. Now, if Robbie couldn't show me an NGO in his hand after he's like, that would have been more tricky. Like if he didn't actually have the NGO, he thought a Rashida was an NGO, and then he baited me through the server, and only to, he got a lot of information about my deck. That would be more tricky, and it might result in a DQ, but this doesn't need to, right? Because he just put the wrong card down, and it's easily fixed.
Definitely.
Even there, I think one way of looking at it also is that I wasted 2 clicks and 2 credits, and you just say those advancement counters are nothing. But yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it would be tougher the other way, but this was easy. And I think the last thing before I take off my judge hat, I think people assume that any mistake you make results in a DQ, and that is not even true at the highest levels of play. If you can rewind things with nothing in the game state being damaged, you do, and it's fine. Judge hat off and remark that things are very bad for me right now.
Yeah.
So you've installed advanced something in there. I'm like, I don't have a lot of money.
I still have the scarcity on the table that should be gone. But it doesn't. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of resources, so I don't think
I'm making
anyway. Might have mattered a little bit, but I don't think it did. It was a big deal. That said, I said I don't have a lot of resources. I don't have a lot of money. It looks like I have 4 credits, 1 on Netmarker. That's not a lot to go through these things. Data Raven certainly doesn't end the run, which is good. But I can get past Data Raven without that, so I don't know that's an agenda, and I can't just waltz through and hope that it's the winning agenda. Destroy me.
I mean, if we look at this for a second here, the outermost ice with Acme is you encounter with the tag, basically, and Jesminder doesn't do anything about that. But moving past that initial piece of ice, IP block is blank for you if you haven't used your Jesminder ability. And then Data Raven you can walk through.
I think that outermost piece of ice is Data Ward because I just wasn't finding them, and then I was like, finally here. If anything's going to do it, it's this.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost you 3 credits where you take a tag, which you can duck with your ability. But then on the IP block, like that's a real tag that will stick.
I have to take it seriously.
Which I think was what I had in mind.
Yeah, and I think having enough resources to get into this server, but I think I might either have the Palangi, like I think that Palangi switchblade thing sort of close to being real, but not. I don't think I had enough, and I think the fact that you had just been doing a great job of making me make and taxing my resources came to fruition here, where you had a legitimate scoring window that I couldn't deal with. And now I bring out
with a deck like this, which really is a kill deck. I spend 100% of my influence on 3 copies of Hard Hitting News, but is just getting the runner poor enough that those tags will stick. Which means that you're really going on tempo and you're trying to get them to sort of react to you and run when they're not really set up and don't have a sustainable, reliable economy, which is my whole game. Because once you can do it like sustainably, my game is over.
Yeah, and I think you did a good job of keeping me from getting to that point. Especially identifying like where when to ice archives, when to where. Though from a thematic standpoint, I think we really see what the benefit of having good people on your political, if you have a political campaign, having good people on your staff, because Justminder, unlike in the Moonbod cycle, successfully kept Liza from being assassinated here, which she certainly can't do on her own.
Oh, too soon.
Rest in peace, Akshara Serene. You are definitely the second best of the Serene.
Oh. That was a card.
Of course, Sean is garbage. I really like that cycle. I'm psyched here. I'm also very intimidated because the thing I'm thinking here is that a lot of Apex decks aren't on Apocalypse, but it's influence free. You just put it in your deck. And I'm just trying to play some fully operational things. I'm trying to get like 1 million servers. I'm trying to put a bunch of ice not on my centrals, and I could really get got here. That said, I don't even know if you're on
I think I dropped out for a second, and I'm back.
Yeah, I think this. Yeah, okay. So I'm just like,
I'm really
I think I have no idea how to correctly like ruse your opponent into telling you whether they're on APOC. And like, that's all I want to do here. I'm like, hey, and like, what do you think about Apocalypse? And quite cleverly, you do not explicitly tell me your entire deck list.
I mean, you get a feel for if an Apex deck is on APOC or not based on their setup in the beginning, right? Like,
yeah, people in my meta up here in Cambridge, what they say is that nobody expects Apocalypse out of Apex, and I think that's like my one strength that I have going is just that it's not popular right now, and so people don't see it coming.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. But see, like even just by putting down a turning wheel, I wouldn't put that down in the beginning of a game where I expect to APOC somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I would wait in hand and then slap it down once I've APOC'd.
Yeah, I think
Robbie, I think you cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I got a...
So I'll talk until Robbie comes back in.
Fair enough. Go for it.
Well, I know personally, I think there's a lot of Apex decks where you feel like you have to choose between the best card in your faction, Apocalypse, and the 2nd to 6th best card in your faction. Because, Wasteland, Reaver, um, they don't work well with Apocalypse.
No.
And even stuff like a simulator where you're like flipping an Aesops or something. You don't want to flip an Aesops and then flip it all back. That said, if you're building some big rig, but then you have a spare card slot in hand, and you just notice that this is worse for me or worse for you than it is for me, you just fire off an Apocalypse. That's great.
That's fair. As a one of in a deck, I could see it being like my last ditch effort, right? They've got this giant Jinja server and there's nothing I can do about it. I might as well just try to run through there and APOC.
Ooh, looks like I got a Vitruvius counter.
This deck is actually running 3 copies of Apocalypse, and it's one of those decks that tries to APOC early and often. I think the biggest problem that I had with this was consistency. Over again, this would run 3 Sports Hoppers, and I don't know what I would cut for it. But it's just finding the cards when you need them was killing me. It was like something of a gimmick joke deck. So our team here was on sale bar. We're actually 3 IP attorneys. We're all in intellectual property who decided it would be fun to come down with 3 pirate decks. And because it was my idea, I wound up pulling Apex by default, because that's like the 3rd faction you can play pirate with. And this deck, when it really sings, you are constantly digging through. You get a Reaver down. This is one of those decks where you're not afraid to put down 2 Reaver. You're firing Spy Cam off turn and just digging through your deck, finding all the pieces that you need. And even if you Apocalypse and lose that turning wheel, you're gonna get it back, right? It's not such a big deal to lose it. And I think I run one assimilator as kind of like as a release valve. So like late game, I can pull back. And in testing, it won me games, but like it just, you need to get your card draw up early, and I think that was what was really hurting me here.
Yeah, I think this game. What am I looking at? Oh, I think you maybe were gonna trash something, and I forgot like what Wasteland triggers off of versus what Reaver triggers off of versus what.
Oh yeah.
Because I love Apex, but I get that stuff mixed up every once in a while because I haven't played it in a while.
Yeah, I actually find it's interesting when Pirate Apex is working really well. You wind up with this problem in the late game where you don't have anywhere to spend all the money that you're making, which is another part of the reason why I'm not afraid of Apocalypse in this. But when it's not working really well, you're just starved out. Like you can't find your pieces, and then you can't put them on the board when you do.
Yeah, I think here we're seeing me sort of survive the early game where I didn't ice my centrals very aggressively, and I didn't get punished for it, which feels great.
Yeah, and that was my idea, right? Is that I build up a bunch of turning wheel counters, and then I get maybe a Gabali on the board, run through R&D, and whatever's on there, I'm not too worried about it. I can still see like 4 or 5 cards, and that'll get me a couple of points. And I think that I just didn't get to that point.
Yeah. And in terms of me advancing my game plan, things are going pretty decently here. I have a Jeeves down, which I think you're not really in a great position to challenge. You seem pretty poor. Yeah, 5's a lot. And I have that Team Spo down. So, if you don't take care of the
coming back
team sponsorship, well,
just missing friends in high places.
Don't build these giant remotes this early, but against Pirate, it feels pretty good. That said, I only have $6, so in here.
Yeah. I think I was just kind of tunneled in on setup.
Yeah, I think I remember after this turn, I felt extremely relieved that you didn't come get my thing. Here you played a Prey on R&D. I have an Architect there, and I was like, I really want to res it just because it's like, joke's on you. But it wouldn't actually be good here, so I didn't. I don't have the money for that, but I really want to just feel smug about that being an Architect. I think the Prey was a really good call there. But what is this?
Yeah, it's sometimes in Pirate Apex I found that Prey is as good as an inside job. Like it'll just stop people from rezzing ice.
Yeah. Prey's a really cool card in Apex.
Especially when you have like 4 or 5 face downs. Yeah.
Analogous to like Jack Sinclair or I don't know, some other mini faction that like is not really the best card, but is very cool. Ooh, what did I score? That's just a GFI?
Yeah, it's a GFI.
Seems like it.
So now you're on 5. You pulled back your Rashida just now with your team spawn trigger. You've got a Vitruvius counter. You're looking great.
This is a great situation for me because I'm on 3 biotics and all I need to do now is to just get 2 points somehow. I don't have daily business shows down, so I can't like make the perfect hand. But the fact that I was able to get up to 5 is a huge deal. So now I just need to like get money. It doesn't look like I've found any fully operationals this game. Like I've just been like clicking.
I mean, you haven't really needed them.
Yeah, that's true.
I think what's going through my head here is that I have to win in one run, and it's just like, okay, let's get some turning wheel counters. Let's get in there and see as many cards as possible. Just because I was going too slow and like more setup wasn't going to help me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so you're running Dirty Laundry on R&D now. Sanjay,
it doesn't cost money to run. You make money to run.
Yeah, Sanjay reses this architect. Is that an architect?
Yeah. It's this nice one that Jakuza Elwin made.
Okay.
Terrified of Apocalypse here. I'm like 1,000% sure that you have an Apocalypse in hand. The next 2 runs are going to be run HQ, run Archives.
So good.
I think we later found out that like there's an Apocalypse like 3 cards down in your deck, and it just didn't come fast enough.
My favorite card in this whole deck is Reboot. Like I have successfully Apocalypse somebody who was on Biodome just because he didn't see it coming. Like I rebooted Archives. Like of course there was a good reason for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Ooh, that puts you all the way up on 6. That's scary for me.
How excited I got! You see the way I snatched that card? I was like, "Is it possible?"
So I remember emotionally, I was not happy you got 4 points, but like the fact that you didn't immediately run HQ and Archives after this, I was so happy.
Yeah.
That did not happen.
And if
you just told him that as well.
Yeah. Because I went down to 0 there with sort of the optimism that maybe this Rashida would give me 3 credits, and if you had taken it away from me, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, that seems a little bit of a misplay on your part, Ruby.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Like he was broke, and you didn't take the opportunity to go trash that Rashida. I understand, like not poking HQ, but on 0 credits. After successfully dirty laundering and getting 4 points there,
it's hard to watch. Yeah,
I mean, not hard to watch. It's a mistake. They happen.
This doesn't look good. This looks great. Wow. Gain 8 credits. This is exactly what I needed. I think I'm doing it twice. What's the ones? I don't know.
Fully operational. So you've only got 3 triggers from it, but it also just has 1 you get to do.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think I might have been typing out "help me" in Morse code there. That's an Apex thing, right? He's got like Morse code on all his cards.
Is it Morse code? I've never been able to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's different from Morse.
And there it is. Jeez.
Good for me.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that was very close, and I think
yeah,
going 1-4 is doesn't really represent the strength of it, because I think you built a really solid deck here.
It's very swingy. Like that's the hardest part of it. If I had it all to do over again, like I said, I would find the room for 3 sports hoppers, because like that burst draw is so important when you're looking for cards, and also it gives you 3 more cards that let you fire your wastelands and your reavers off turn, which is what this deck is all about. Like you're just trying to dig through the deck and then levy, and then dig through the deck and levy if there's still game to go. And if this deck doesn't play a single levy, that means that you went way too slow and you were never really in the game.
Yeah. And I think the big counter your deck has to mine is, I want to see this Apex deck. I love Apex. And I think the big counter your deck, like Apocalypse is so big here because you can speak about your own economy, but I think like you probably don't have the econ to like contest early assets very well.
It's hard.
So like in that game, we saw that just like, look, I put down a Jeeves early and you can't deal with it now. And I think I have a lot of cool tools against Pirate where I can like, I have 3 servers, like which one do you think it's in? Like I can have a fun shell game thing. And the fact that you can just takes a lot of the teeth out of that, and the fact that you didn't get your Apocalypses until too late was great for me. And here, a very exciting thing happened.
Oh yeah,
definitely. A very exciting thing happens is that you made some really cool hostage alt arts, and you're giving me one, and I immediately get that very nice official art out of there. It's actually very cute. Official art. As a big lore fan, I love Thomas Haas, and
he's great. Yeah.
What a friggin' like is on full display in the art of Hostage. But that said, your art is amazing, and I'm so happy that I was able to play it for the rest of the day.
So for Thomas Haas lore, I love the source because you're not really sure if like Smoke is playing Thomas Haas or if like they're working together, right? And like I think that they both think it's kind of both.
Thomas Haas has very little awareness of himself.
Yeah, I mean, character is as useless as the card, but I mean the Thomas Haas card, not like Hostage. That's a great card. But my buddy Anshul who's playing here, he's one of those people who bought in at the revised core set and didn't have any of the old cards that rotated back in, and so he was like, I'm gonna need a couple of hostages. Can I borrow yours? And that was when I was like, you know what, I can make these up. I have like a couple other friends who also don't have this old stuff, and it seems like it'd be helpful. And I had some extras because it's easier to make a bunch of them than to make one of them. So, I think you were nice enough to give us like a bunch of your alt arts, and I was like, well, what am I going to not like when I have extras?
Yeah, I think one of the things about that is that if you have little gifts to give to your opponents, it makes small talk a lot easier. It's a nice way to start.
And it kind of takes the sting out when you crush them under your heel with your acid deck.
I know. Just the video. I mean, I think like Netrunner is really lovely, and I think the people that you usually play with are very nice. That said, if you can start it's nice to have a way to start every match on a very upbeat note. And the fact that I have these alt arts to give out is really nice.
Yeah. So this is something my buddy G was saying, and this is like a long story that I'm going to try and condense down as much as possible. But we had our third teammate who had to drop out at like the very last minute, sort of unexpected circumstances, and our third player on the day was our friend G, who was also in law school with us and is also an IP lawyer, so the joke still works. But he like hadn't really played Netrunner before. He'd played like 2, maybe 3 games in his entire life, and we were staying with him in his apartment while we were in New York, and he was like, I don't really play the game, I don't fully understand it, but I know how excited you guys are, so I'll come so that you guys can play, like if you can't find anyone else. And one of the things that he was saying afterwards, because he used to play Magic like like competitively, like on a fairly high level.
Nice.
And he was talking about just how surprised he was by how like nice and welcoming and helpful everyone is, which I think is really like the Netrunner community. Like it's one of the reasons that I'm here. It's it's just that's the vibe that we go for, which is I think great.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason that I'm here as well, actually.
Yeah.
I got into Netrunner after playing Magic competitively and realizing, like, look, I just can't keep up with this hobby, monetarily and then just, like, emotionally. Like, I go to a tournament and, like, the person sitting across from me is not looking to have a good time. They're looking to crush me.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't get that feeling from Netrunner, even, like, having gone to Worlds. Like, maybe once or twice I've sat across from an opponent and I was like, they're not having a good day. Like, they expect to be much higher than they are, and so they're looking to, like, kind of let loose some of their aggression. But 99% of the time, I'm sitting across the table from someone like Sanjay and just having a great time and, like, shooting the shit and, like, casually bantering, and it's great, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that it's good to recognize that we don't, not every interaction you have in every game is going to be extremely rosy and positive, but that's the ideal that we're striving for.
Mm-hmm.
And by having that be the ideal, like, we get to it like 90% of the time, and it's really lovely.
Yeah.
So, hey, my playmat there, actually, this is the Metropole Grid drinking game playmat. One of a kind. It's great. But the Metropole Grid is, and Andre in particular, is really like the reason why I'm out at these events, right? Because like there's this big jump from playing like with your friends at the kitchen table to going out, like even below the level of a competitive event, going to like, Thursday night Netrunner down at the store when everybody there knows the game better than you do, and also they know the community and the culture better than you do, and they know each other, and it's really like daunting, and it's easy to say like, well, I'm not at that level, like let me just take a step back, and just like free plug because he's not paying me, but like what Andre does is besides just like he gives fantastic explanations for everything, he's really like makes a focused, conscientious, consistent effort to be as like welcoming as possible and to try to like bring people in and encourage them and showcase the best in this community where like all take this thing that we really enjoy and get a lot of joy out of and want to share that joy with other people. And then I turned him into a drinking game, so that tells you something about the kind of guy I am.
Well, yeah. I mean, Netrunner also has like drinking.
I actually I didn't put the words drinking game anywhere on there just because I'm like, I don't know, maybe that's bad. Like this is still like a family thing, maybe. Like,
yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you said about Andre and the content he puts out. What a lovely person.
Yeah, but I mean, like the bigger thing is just that he's like representative, right? It's not like he's an outlier. It's not like there's him and then there's the rest of us. Like he just like showcases what's the best in this community, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So Andre, I hope you listen to the very end of every YouTube video that is put out on Netrunner, so that you can hear people say nice things about you.
Yeah, do that.
And if you don't, then you're missing out. I'm sorry, Andre. You're gonna have people say nice things to you
behind your back, right? That's the worst.
Next time anybody's on that, what does he go on? He broadcasts on Thursdays.
I think so. I think that's tomorrow is his usual. Well, I think so. I'm there most of the time. He broadcasts on Thursdays, sometimes on other times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That was a good thing to leave it off on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's nice, positive closing remarks. Watched a good game. Everyone's walking away happy.
Yeah. Look, you have 6 points. That's great.
So my buddy G that I was talking about earlier. This is another thing, is that like he was a little hesitant to come because he was like, I'm not going to do very well, and it's like you're going to do better than our other friend who didn't come, so don't worry about that. But then but then he got 1 point, right? Like he wound up coming up to like one tie, and didn't win the rest of his games. But I think if you stack that up and say like in this match he was playing against Dan, against Code Marvelous.
Yeah.
And Dan did very well. Like you guys won the whole. I'm not going to spoil it. You guys did very well.
We won the whole
like,
something, but we won't say what.
You won something. But if you take a look at how much time each person in this tournament has put into the game and how many points they got out of it, right? Like total number of hours per point. I think G's got us all beat. Like I think that like
sounds right.
He played this day, which was 8 hours, and then maybe like 2 hours before that. So like 10 hours for 1 point. Like that's way better than I did.
Yeah, that's fair.
Better than I did.
I'm terrified of calculating out my hours per point ratio. That sounds like a horrible, horrible ratio.
I'm taking the baseball approach where you just invent new garbage statistics that tell the story you want them to tell.
Well, I think one of the exciting things, I love about team tournaments is that it's the one time of the year where I really am motivated to like do my very best because like other people's success is on the line.
Oh yeah, okay.
Try to do well for tournaments that I'm going to, and sometimes I even come up with some really good stuff and I'm practiced with it, but the motivation is just way different when it's like helping other people versus just like I can have a really nice experience with a garbage deck and a really nice experience with a very well tuned deck, and so putting in that extra effort isn't always and one of the and I put in a lot of work we practiced and stuff. It was fun. Yeah. But also
it shows.
It helped. Yeah.
I think that's also one of the reasons why going the exact opposite way, why we came up with this like pirate theme is just because like I know that my friends don't have all that much time to devote to like practicing. And if like the theme of this game is that we're all going to try as hard as we can and win, then like people are going to feel like, I don't know if I can do that. But if you're like, no, we're just going to bring fun decks and like this is just going to be like an entertaining thing that we do. Like I missed it, but I guess at one of these things before, there was a team there. They all played. What's that card where like you bet all your money and then the court has to guess if it's odd or even?
Push your luck.
Push your luck. Yeah, and they were competing to see who could gain the most money off push your luck. What a great idea.
Yeah, and it's just like it's stuff like that where you're just like, you know what? Let's just make it fun, right? Like if you like make this so that you have fun even if you lose, like then there's no way to lose.
Yeah. You gotta come down to Delaware and tell them this because I keep on trying to say, hey, let's all be on mini factions. Let's put Thomas Haas in all our decks. He's only one influence, and look what we brought, Max.
I am on complete garbage decks in the lull between this and the original. God, I'm playing a deck that runs Nefer as its Fractor right now, just because I never used the card, and I'm like, it's time.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's actually okay. It's better than 50-50 right now.
Yeah,
and I'm running Tenon with Focus Group just because I'm like, I bet that'll be good. And it's not great. Like I could just play a good deck and it'd be better. But like,
Tenon plus Focus Group, how do you lose? If they have a successful run, you focus group them. If they don't,
I have
you
found ways to lose.
Jokes on them.
Yeah, that's inevitable. The idea.
Yeah, I've been working on making Tenon good as well.
Yeah, it's 3 focus group and 3 slot machine, and then your Salim's hospitalities are free. Like it seems like you can't lose.
Well, I found that with Tenon, like you don't really know when they're going to go a turn without making a successful run, and I just find that like unexpected gifts at unexpected times is just like the quickest way to my heart.
Yeah.
Here's a free advancement counter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good, and there are those odd turns where you can score a 5-3 out of hand because
Yeah, why not?
Agendas. Yeah. Or events. Not agendas. The runner never holds on to agendas.
Well,
speaking of what I'm playing, I'm going to put Fumiko and Psychic Field in all my decks for regionals. So This is advance warning for all of you. Don't run any of my servers.
Or just
Ever.
don't be 419.
No, you don't expose it with 419 because you want them to die.
That turns off Fumiko if
No,
419 triggers it.
What's the... Is it Shikyu that fires on expose?
Oh no,
No, Psychic Field does fire on expose, yeah.
But what you want
Psychic
to
Field and it's
Fumiko into it.
Oh,
Resident
I see.
Fumiko,
I
and
got
then
you.
they die.
That's that one
Yeah.
kill.
Fumiko Sci-Field Asa to this tournament, and they talked me out of it.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. I wish you had.
You just take out all your cards that make your deck efficient.
I'm running Apex with Heartbeat. I wish you had.
Oh yeah, I could not. I can't beat Heartbeat. I just lose the game. Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's call this here. I do have an idea where we come back and do streaming of some of my Apex stuff because I have been working on an Apex for a while. Not piratey at all, but an Apex deck nonetheless.
So there is an actual channel on the StimHack Slack just for people who run Apex, the Hunting Grounds.
Yeah,
channel.
Hunting Grounds.
And we're saying, because I was asking some questions about this, and they're like, you got to check it out on Hunting Grounds. And so I hopped on there with like a little over a week to go till the tournament, and was like, okay, here's the situation. Playing Pirate Apex has to be Pirate because of dumb reasons, but how do I make this deck better? And the only responses that I got from that whole channel were just like, don't play this, play a good deck instead. And I'm like, okay, well, that hurts.
That's rude. What the heck
I
channel
think
do they think they are?
I think it came from a good place. They were like, you are representing us. Like, don't represent us with this.
I mean, they are the one minifac who has never spent some time at the top of the minifacs, and it's hard. And it's harsh. It's hard.
I mean, is that true? Has Sunny really?
Sunny was the best minifac.
Sunny was good for a while. Yeah.
Sunny gave me the best card. Period. Right? Sunny came with Security Nexus, arguably the best card in the game, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
So like I'm vouching for Sunny all day, but has she been at the top of anything?
During World 2017, she was the top minifac. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Worlds 2006. No, just Worlds 2017. Like when Tapworm was legal, Sunny was better than Adam.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Adam, as soon as they printed Find the Truth, like Adam got 10 times better.
Yeah, because you didn't have to always be running.
That's true.
I don't like always be running. I like the kind of game that it makes. Like it's a game where I lose inevitably. I just it feels like that's how it's supposed to work.
I heard somebody in Adam Lounge, the Adam minifac thing, mention that it's really a shame that the upside on Always Be Running is not more interesting and not better, because I think of Adam's directives, it's the most exciting downside.
Yeah, I saw that comment.
And
I was thinking,
it makes a lot of sense.
At the time, I feel like the upside was a lot better. Like when it was printed, I feel like you've got to run every turn as your first click, but you can break ice. Right? I feel like that was a great card then. And then they printed much meaner ice.
Yeah.
And like now it's just more of a liability than anything. Like if they did Always Be Running 2.0, I'm sure it would be.
This game. When I started playing this game, I was just playing with my friends, and we had the core set, and then I got the big boxes. And in that meta, Always Be Running was a pretty great card. Like ice is so much meaner once you get out of that world.
Yeah. Also, they printed Logic Bomb, so like the ability to like pay 2 clicks to get to break one subroutine is like a little hard to be excited about.
It's less good.
Ooh.
on that note, let's call it a night here. Thank you both for coming on. I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about these matches as you were playing them.
Thank you. Sorry for all the technical problems.
There's really no problem at all. Honestly, it could have come from me because since I've paused the video and we're not watching the video, there's been infinitely less cutting out.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I'm down in my basement now, and I'm wondering if that's maybe some of it. Like, I'm not getting quite the bandwidth that I should. So I have my I have a desktop computer because I'm from the past, but that's sitting in what used to be my study and is now the nursery where my son is asleep. And so instead of waking him up, I carted my laptop down to the basement, and I might not have the best connection down here.
That makes sense. Yeah. But I hope both of you end up tuning into the rest of the matches that we're going to stream. I know I'm going to stream round 1 tomorrow.
Cool.
And they'll all be on YouTube after they're done. Right, this is going to go on YouTube within the next hour, just so that it's there forever and it lives on in infamy.
It is beautiful and terrifying.
Right? So once again, thank you so much. Thank you to anyone who is watching / listening, or has been for the last 20 minutes as we've been chatting. And I hope to see you all again. Have a great night.
If you're listening, I love you.
Aw.
Yeah, well, cheers. Good night, everyone.